Hello, everyone, and welcome to In-House Counsel Insights, which brings together in-house attorneys in a range of practice areas to share their experiences and their tips. On today's show, I have Alva Trevino, who was formerly General Counsel of Houston Metro. Hey, Alva, thanks for attending today. I appreciate it.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So I'd like to tell your story and introduce you to the audience. I think just with a series of questions, we'll go chronologically through your career. So can you just tell us, what did you do before you went in-house? Well, you know what? I'm going to back up a second because a lot of the viewers probably haven't heard of Houston Metro. Can you tell me what Houston Metro does and how big it is?
Sure. Houston Metro, we're the Metropolitan Transit Authority of Harris County. And it's more than just Harris County. We also serve a lot of the unincorporated areas of Harris County. We provide bus service, train service, also services to our disabled and special needs clients. We also have our own police department of 222 sworn police officers. So Houston Metro is the primary source for people to go to if they need transportation services. Our area covers about 1,200 square miles.
Wow.
We've got approximately 6,400 employees, from anywhere from bus operators, mechanics, to administrative personnel, police officers. We have our own procurement department. So it's a pretty big agency for in the Houston area. We our government entities that form part of Metro are Harris County, the city of Houston, and 14 smaller multi-cities, we call them, that make up our jurisdiction.
So it's not a small organization, and I just wanted to impress that on everyone. So can you tell us what did you do before you went in-house with Metro?
I was a young attorney with a small law firm. It was a two-man law firm, Collier and Garza. And they represented Metro as outside counsel, and that's how I started. I started as a litigator, and after about 8 months with that small law firm, I got hired on in-house with Metro as a litigator.
So when you say you got hired on, so was that because of a relationship you had at Metro and they asked you to come on board?
Absolutely. I was doing a lot of the accident defense work for Metro as outside counsel, and I got to know the attorneys here at Metro and the general counsel, and they had an opening and they thought of me, and here I am 25 years later. I'm still here.
Well, that is impressive. Okay, well, let's start in the beginning, kind of what you did to work your way up through this large organization to go from, handling the same things you handled as outside counsel to eventually one day becoming general counsel.
Well, when I started back in 1997, Metro had a very small legal department, and a lot of our work was sent to outside counsel. As I said, I started as a litigator, and I worked mostly on the bus accident side and some of the liability cases. My docket consisted of anywhere between 80 and 110 cases at one time. And it was me and one other litigator that handled the entire docket, mostly here in Harris County in district court and county court. But after a while, you get really good at your job, but the cases start to look all the same.
Right.
Accident cases, they're all, you go to trial, you prepare, you interview witnesses, and it's not as challenging as you would like it to be. So I said, well, what else can I do for Metro that adds value to the organization and maybe start being more helpful? So I asked our general counsel, hey, can I start working on some of the things that you do? Maybe the board governance work. can I start attending meetings? And she allowed me, fortunately, to start delving into that side of the house, all of the in-house legal services that General Counsel's office provides to our internal clients, and that's how I started.
And how was that transitioning from all litigation to a more like transactional corporate practice? Did you have to get training from the general counsel, or did you learn it all on yourself? Like, what was that experience like making that transition in practice area?
A lot of it was simply immersive. You would attend meetings, whether it was engineering meetings when we have a capital project and we're building a new rail line or a new facility. We would attend meetings in procurement if it was something having to do with a contract. So you get a very wide range of experience by being there, being in the office, attending meetings, whether you want to go to meetings, and attending meetings, whether they want you there or not. And you start developing these relationships with your internal clients, where they start coming to you with more of the issues that the legal issues that they have, and that's how you get experience. But you have to be the kind of person that is willing to avail themselves of those opportunities to start learning the business and learning the business side of what Metro does.
Okay, I think I understand a lot better now, and I want to make sure we flesh that out, because I heard a lot of things, and I want to make sure you get credit for that too, because I want to be clear, you didn't have to go to those meetings, right?
No, I could have been very comfortable just doing the litigation defense, but I wanted more of a challenge, and I wanted to be more helpful to general counsel. And you start developing those relationships with your internal clients. And by the way, you also start developing relationships with your outside counsel as well, because we were such a small legal group back then that a lot of our work was sent to outside counsel. A lot of it was specialized, but you still have to be able to interact with outside counsel on some of those special projects. I'll give you an example. We've had several referendums over the years, elections to either expand our rail services or for other reasons. And we would go to outside counsel that specializes in election law. But of course, a lot of that work still needs some in-house coordination. And so that's how you get to learn more areas of law that you would normally be exposed to if you're just doing litigation.
Right. Makes a lot of sense. So I've heard a lot about understanding the business, which I'm a big believer of, and then relationships as well. So kind of an interesting thing. We've got this work at home, then it went hybrid, and then I'm not sure where it's going from there, if it's going to stay hybrid or what. Would you have been able to do the same things you did? And look, maybe so, but do you have any tips? I don't know how we want to chew on that question, but do you understand what I'm talking about with the fact that people just aren't in the office having meetings as much anymore?
I think with Metro, it's a more unique situation because there's a lot of jobs within Metro you can't do from home. You just can't. And a lot of our frontline employees have to be at work because we provide transportation services to the public and to the community. So while a lot of jobs you can work from home and have Zoom meetings, I think there's a lot to be said with having an actual personal interaction with colleagues at the office. Even if it is, a couple of days a week, or having meetings here in the office with your colleagues, because you don't get the same flavor for the discussion or for the collaboration if you're doing it on a Zoom meeting. While it's very convenient to do the Zoom meeting, I think there's a lot to be said for actually coming into the office and interacting with your other humans and the other people who have a skin in the game of what Metro does. I think it's, it's there's an advantage to that.
Right. Okay, thanks, Alva. So we discussed, your rise to general counsel, and I mentioned earlier you were formerly general counsel. So what do you do for Metro today?
Well, I was general counsel for about 7 years, which is, I've been told that that's a long time in terms of shelf life for general counsels. I don't have anything else to compare it to because most of the general counsels here at Metro have remained in place for a long time. But what I do now, and I think my former experience is being in the legal department and being general counsel lends itself well to what I do now. I'm on the compliance side now and process improvement and best practices. Well, what does that mean? What it means is, keeping up and updating all of our policies and procedures. We come from an industry that's like a lot of industries that is very heavily regulated. So you need to keep up with what those new requirements are. And if your policies, match those requirements, and also keep up with, are you tracking what you say you're going to do? If you're going to have a policy, what's worse than not having a policy is having one that you're not following.
Right.
The other thing that we do, and I have a staff of 3 people, and this is what we do, is we do process improvement and best practices research. For example, we recently examined our HR hiring practices and how long it takes to hire an individual, because like a lot of industries, we're having challenges hiring people. And so we went in, we kind of mapped out, okay, how long does this take from the time of application all the way through putting an actual bus driver in the seat to drive a bus? How long is it taking? Is there areas where we can consolidate some processes? Are there things that we can eliminate in order to be more efficient? And how are we onboarding employees and making sure that all the requirements are met so that we can actually have an employee as quickly as possible? We did that, for example, and it's an ongoing process. We still have to go back in and see if the changes that we implemented are actually working. The challenge that we have on this side of what I'm doing is gathering the sufficient data to demonstrate success. How are we going to show that those changes actually are leading to us shortening the time of hiring an employee?
Right.
And that's always going to be a challenge, is what kind of data you gather and how do you aggregate it and how do you report it out? So I'm on the compliance side now and process improvement, but I never stopped learning. I recently got, during the pandemic, when I had a little bit of time on my hands to study, I got certified in compliance with the SCCE. And it's nice to have it on your byline that you're certified in compliance. There's always something to do with compliance work. So if you're looking for a transition after general counsel work, it's a good area to go into, and you'll be able to use everything that you learned as a general counsel on the compliance side.
That is excellent advice. Thanks for sharing that with everyone. So as far as tips, we have a little bit of time. Let's do 2 types of tips. So let's give some tips for someone that's outside counsel that would like to be inside counsel, and then tips for outside counsel working with in-house counsel. So if you could address some of those, address our audience, I think they'd like to hear some of that.
I think that the tips are similar. If you're in-house working, try to expand your area of opportunity to learn new stuff. If it means, working on the business side, working on other areas that you wouldn't normally feel comfortable with. For example, if you're a litigator and, now you want to get into the governance side, make yourself available to the general counsel and tell that person, look, I'm open to new opportunities. I would love to attend a board meeting. I would love to attend other meetings where I could start learning the governance side, because board governance is very, very important. It's probably the most important thing as an in-house counsel, general counsel. But also avail yourself of those opportunities to learn the business side of whatever company you're working for, or whatever agency you're working for. If you're an outside counsel working for a company as an outside counsel, the same is true. Maintain those relationships with your in-house counsel, whether it's the general counsel or the supervising attorney that you're working that project with. And also avail yourself of those opportunities to learn what the product is of that company is. For example, if you're an outside counsel working for Metro, I always liked the outside counsels to be very interested in what Metro did, and to learn what Metro does and what is what kind of services does Metro provide. Well, we're more than just a bus company. We provide a lot of paratransit services to the special needs and disabled community. We have our own police officers, our own police force, our own procurement department. What is the territory where Metro provides these services? It's always very gratifying to know that our outside counsel is actually interested in what Metro does and not just simply focused on that one project that they're working on.
Right. Love that. Great advice. Great story. Thanks for coming on with us today, Alva. I really, really appreciate you.
Chris, anytime, call in anytime, and have a great afternoon.
All right. Thanks.